Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good day, wherever you are. My name is Tim. I am the Silver Coder, and today we are going to do something which is a little different to what I've done before. That means I'm not going to be doing some programming, and I guess part of that is I'm still trying to get a handle on, what's working for everyone else. Whether you want to see some more beginner stuff, whether that's really basic Pascal stuff or what. So anyway, I'm still trying to work some of that out, and I guess. But before we get into this video, just a little bit of housekeeping. In the last video where when I was working on the calculator in Lazarus, I fixed an issue to do with the layout, and I'm just going to move this other window over so you can all see it. So in order for me to make sure I had even spacing between everything, I used a component called an anchor dock panel, and that's from the anchor docking package, and that's the anchor design, I believe it is, which is what I use to have all the windows together. So if you do want to look at that code, which is on GitHub, you'll also need to make sure that you have that package. And when we get back onto Lazarus next time, I can show you how that can be installed. So that is the first item, I think, to tick off, really. The other thing is, don't forget that if you do find you like the information I'm providing, please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share, notification buttons, all that wonderful stuff. I may sound a little tiny bit flippant, maybe, but it really does help the channel, and I really do want to, share what we can do with Pascal, because it is a nice language and there's so much that can be done with it which probably the world doesn't know about. So yeah, like I said, and if there's something particular you do like to see, please let me know either in the comments or wherever you find me online, whether that's on the Delphi Delphi Praxis forums or the Free Lazarus forums or wherever. So I go by the name Silver Coder 70, and yeah, I'd like to hear from you. So in today's video, what we're going to do basically is to look at some common, units which I believe are to be the ones that you'd most commonly use, perhaps, and based on my own programming experience, shall we say, and we're going to have a little look inside them. And if you have a different point of view as to which ones are the units which people should be aware of or familiar with, then again, I would love to hear from you. So again, comments, let me know, and we can look at those ones as well. So, and part of this came from, I guess part of this video came from a message I did see on a forum about, someone was asking about, again, what units should we explore? And again, as I said, this can be quite objective. So, and maybe in order to understand this, you should have a little bit of a background as to what I used to do. So, I used to was involved in writing call accounting software, and that also meant that I was involved in writing services for Windows. And with what the services would do is they were responsible for capturing the data, processing that data, calculating a call charge, and then inserting the record into a database. So it did a few things, and it was multi-threaded, but to do that you have to remember now we're looking at communications via TCP/IP or RS-232. We're looking at buffers, we're looking at lists, We're looking at the times of the day and days of the week in which calls are made in order to do a calculation, etc. So there's I guess you could say, and I'm going to skip over the log files and that sort of thing. But you get the sense that there were I guess quite a few of the foundational parts of let's say Delphi would be used. And so for me, the units which are which I think people should be most familiar with are the classes unit. That's number one. Number two would be the sysutils, and I'm going to go for the dates or dateutils for the third one. Of course, if you're going to work with files and things like file streams and file exists and directory exists, they are also important. But yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at these. So I will just minimize that window. I'm going to make myself a little tiny bit smaller so we can see the screen. Okay, so here we are. We are now going to look at the three units which I consider important. We'll start with classes, then go to dateutils perhaps, and then sysutils. So here we are looking at the classes unit. It's sort of like the foundation perhaps of a lot of the of your coding, at least if it's not going to be visual. And so you'll have things in here like lists, helper classes, string lists, and so on. And there'll also be, functions that you can general, let's say, procedures and functions which you can use as well. I've changed my display slightly so that on the right hand side here you can see the structure and on the left hand side the files. But what you're going to see here now is that I'm just going to collapse all of these. If you want to see what the procedures are in this particular unit, just in the structure here, look for procedures. You can then expand that out and see what's in there. So if you've ever written a component, you can see things like, your register functions. If you want to see then what classes there are, you can open up the classes and we can see here a whole bunch of exceptions. You can see the list classes, persistent classes, and so on. And within each particular class, you can then see what the let's just go up to there. You can see what the private items are, what the protected methods are here, what the where are we at now? We're looking at a collection, so let's not go to that one. Let's open up this one here. You can see what the protected methods are and properties, or if you want, or variables, and then you've got the public ones. So you can either look at it here, or you have a quick, index here, whatever you find easier to look at. I mean, if you are down here, say, looking at something, you've still got the part over here that you can look at there. The next unit that I spoke about was the dateutils unit. And for me, the reason why this unit was important is because when it came to, let's say, calculating a call charge, we needed to know the day of the week, time of day. And the question becomes, what's the first day of the week? Is it a Monday? Is it a Sunday? And this particular unit here, Monday is the first day of the week. Again, right hand side there, you can see all of the classes, properties, methods, and other procedures here which are part of the this particular unit. And probably the ones which would be, let's say that function that I would be using, I have to validate a date, for instance, and there's functions in here for that. There is also, I guess the other functions that I would be using would be, let's say, having to increment a number of seconds. Sometimes the reported time of a call may be when the call ended, it may be when the call connected, It may be when maybe the actual start time. It had different times, is what I'm getting at, and depending upon what information was given, I may have to subtract or add a value on. So you have these sort of functions here which make things easier for you, and you've also got then date comparison type functions as well. Let's say prior to this, I don't know how many years ago, you may have to write your own, but now you don't need to. So that's one of the good things about these units now. The next class we were going to look at was sysutils. Sysutils, I'm going to say, is another one of these bedrocks of your, for your programming. Excuse me. Here, I think here we'll find let's see if we've got a helper in here. Helper, char helper, free and nil GUIDs. Here we go, string helper. So in days gone by, you may be doing a bit of code like, well, let's write a bit of code over here just for the sake of the exercise. You may be doing something like n equals length, some string. Now you'd be able to do some string dot length. Similar, I guess, in style to what you might do in C++. There are a lot of common functions and classes in here which can help make your life really easy, compared to how what it may be, what it was once like for programmers. So, and you've got helpers for, well, here we go. You also can convert, let's say, a string to, or sorry, an integer into a string. So if you were to use a write line, you can now do i.toString, for instance. If you were writing out to a log file, maybe. Words too. So have a look at these ones here and see what's possible, or what can you use in your own program, I guess, is the big thing. Will these classes make my life easier? Now the other class, I'm only going to mention, let's say these two classes get an honorary mention: system.types and the system class. The object class lives in here, is one of those, one of the, let's say, the ancestor of ancestors in terms of object-oriented stuff in Delphi. And here is where you will find all of your basic types. So have a look at these as well, see if they do something for that help make your life easier. So the question is, why should I get familiar with these? Well, number one, using the pre-built code or using pre-built functions and classes, means that you can utilize something out of the box rather than having to rewrite or reinvent the wheel and having to test again. So I've got reliability. These functions here, we could say, are well tested and reduce the risk of you having errors in your own code. Flexibility. If you consider these as like Lego blocks, then you can make bigger components on top of these, to provide solutions to your to the problems you are trying to solve. These units here, sort of like, as I said, form the foundation from which you can then build, complex or sophisticated programs, and they'll save you the time and effort, in having to write your own. I think I probably said in one of the videos where a programmer wrote his own code for, to access the registry, when these are already provided by Delphi and the Jedi project. So have a look at these units, see what they've got to offer, and unlock the full potential of these units in your own programs. So until next time, thank you, and I'll see you later. Ciao.